Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
Ah!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
At Gala Chevrolet, our master technicians service every make and model no matter where you purchase your vehicle. But that's not all. We also provide certified service on every GM model. So if your car's been acting a little funny lately or something just doesn't seem right, don't wait. Bring it in to the most modern service facility in the entire state and let us make sure that you're driving a vehicle you and your family can depend on. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Good morning, Albuquerque, and welcome to Red Menace TV here on an Armageddon Wednesday, traffic-wise, in the 505 in Albuquerque, as I think every freeway, every option over the bridge was closed or slow traffic today. Michael Carlisle won't be with us today as he has some work stuff to do. Instead, we're going to have Enchantment Sports' Mark Smith in with us today. But he's caught in traffic, just like I was caught in traffic, just like Alden was caught in traffic. Who wasn't caught in traffic today? Come on, Albuquerque, build some bridges. Anyways, there is some other torturous news that happened this week, and we'll talk a little bit about that once again with Mark Smith from Enchantment Sports when he gets here. He'll be here soon. Until then, we're going to turn things over to Micah Frankel at CageMinds.com as he's got a special guest in. I think I heard him talking about bare knuckle fighting. We're going to find out more about that. Speaking of bare knuckle fighting, even though you're not supposed to use your hands unless you're a goalie, the New Mexico United suffered their first loss this week. I don't know. I think they're United, New Mexico United. Somos Unidos is their hashtag there. We were going to have the curse guys in, but I think he's caught in traffic too. But the last week we asked the question, who would lose first? The Duke City Gladiators or New Mexico United? New Mexico United answered the call as they took the first loss. Obviously, soccer mania has taken over here in the 505 as it didn't even hurt their gait as it looks like they're getting ready for another sellout there at Duke Stadium as they play this Friday night. I understand there's berm seats available at this point as once again United Mania has taken over here in Albuquerque. The Curse, you can listen to their podcast there on your favorite podcasting listening equipment, as well as going out to the game. Go check it out. I understand seats are pretty premium at this point. You can get down into that end zone. Well, is it an end zone section in soccer? Goal section? I don't know what they call it. But hopefully we can have the guys from the Curse podcast in to talk United Soccer, as well as just soccer in general here real soon, and what's going on there at Isa Dukes Park as they're doing some things. Once again, we will have Mark Smith on with us here in a few minutes. Until then, we're going to take a quick break and come back with CageMinds.com, Micah Frankel, and I don't know. Michael Carlisle always said that I could hit him with a chair, a.k.a. WWE. I wonder if Michael would let me hit him with a closed fist, no gloves on. It's been about 30 years since I've been in a fight. I don't know. We'll be back after this.
The 0-2 pitch to the third baseman. They're going to have a pickle situation here. She falls down. Unfortunate for the Cougars.
2 from Barron. He's going back in there. Pulls his hands in, but Braunschweiger makes the play, and he's going to double him off at second. Here's the 0-1. Pulled his hands in, well hit to Uphold. Uphold still going, and he's not going to get to it. It'll be a ground rule double. A couple of runners will score, and we're all tied up. Like merrily along, here's the 0-1 Ledesma. Right back where it came from, it's through. It's a real slow ball to Silcox. The windmill's coming, we're going to have a throw at the plate, and he is saved! Love a double play ball. It's wrapped inside the bag at third base. No chance for Ledesma. And it's going to chase Torres all the way to the wall. Here comes the runner around third. He'll score the go-ahead run. 2 RBIs off the bat of the number 9 hitter, Josh Clark.
To pitcher at the plate, Emily Dix delivers. And Muniz delivers a home run. That's exactly how she wanted to start off this inning. Brings them back within 2. Took it right down that left field line and sent it through to the portables. And that one sent long towards the wall and out of here. 2 home runs now for the Hawks. Gallardo goes for yard and gives her team a 2-run advantage here at the top of the third. Emily Dix throws it, and so far and so over the fence there. She's going to give the Cougars a much better position now. 5-4 after So goes for the yards. Payoff pitch, sent long and out of here. 2 home runs in the inning for the Volcano Vista Hawks. Dix gets her 3rd of the season and brings home 2 more. Padding that lead up to 4. It's 5-1 in favor of the Hawks now. Pardon? Mendoza. And Mendoza sends a long one and starts the game off huge for Volcano Vista. Bella Mendoza, one of the captains for this team, a senior. The outfielder sends it back to outfield and puts points on the board with the very first pitch of the game.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services. high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of ProView Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Welcome to the place where we talk about people getting punched in the face. This is Caged Minds. I'm Micah Frankel. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I hope you guys were out there at the Route 66 Casino this past weekend. We had lion fight for the first time, Muay Thai. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was destructive. Saw some gnarly cuts, some vicious leg kicks, some high-level competition, some champions crowned. It was an amazing night of action. There was a lot of action this weekend. Let's get right to some highlights, guys. Start off in the UFC. Saturday morning they were in Russia, and Alistair Overeem in the main event gets Alexei Oleinik into the clinch, batters him with knees. The fight would go to the ground, and Overeem would get the TKO finish, the Reem on a win streak. We had big-time boxing action on Fox. Danny Garcia, a fourth-round knockout. Looked sharp, looked the best he has in years. Terrence Crawford, Amir Khan for ESPN Plus pay-per-view. In New York, you can win by low blow. Terrence Crawford with the victory. Couple eyebrows raised. And as I said, there was lion fight action. We got a couple slides from Lion Fight 54. Latrell Yee's very own Whitney Tobin there with a title. Brent Havlicek picking up a North American belt, his second in the co-main event. And in the main event, it was Sandra Godvic with a vicious kick to the body and then left hook assault that gets the victory done in the main event. And there's always a lot going on in the combat sports world. We got a lot to look forward to this weekend, starting tonight, Warrior Way Wednesday on UFC Fight Pass. Chris Brown, Darren Cruikshank in the main event. I know you guys are excited to see that one. Our guest a couple times here we've had on the show, Chris Brown, with a huge opportunity tonight. You got boxing on Thursday night, Roy Jones Jr. presenting Connor Coyle against Robert Burrow. Then we go over to Friday night on DAZN, or Friday, actually, on DAZN. You have MMA action from Russia. It's Fight Night Global 93. UFC vet Fabio Maldonado in the main event. Then Friday night on UFC Fight Pass, featherweight title bout, Titan FC from Florida. Check out their weigh-ins. They're doing it on a yacht Thursday, getting all fancy there in Florida. More action on DAZN Friday night. Combate America's Menace, it's event number 35 for them. A lot of top-level women's action at the top of the card. Friday night, Access TV. Clovis's Harvey Park fighting DeMarcus Jackson for the undisputed LFA lightweight title. Interviews with both up at CageMinds.com. We also have more great boxing action coming for you this weekend on DAZN. Sunsaret Rungzavai versus Juan Francisco, WBC Junior Bantamweight title. Also on that card, Daniel Roman, TJ Dolly for the WBA IBF Junior Featherweight title. Saturday, Daniel DeBlois versus Richard Langley. It's 10 rounds heavyweights on ESPN+. Go back over to UFC Fight Pass for some MMA action. We're going to see Cage Warriors 104. Yes, the Bantamweight Cage Warriors title is on the line. Go back over to DAZN for KSW, Poland's biggest organization, featherweight title bout, also there in the main event. Heading over back to what we know, the UFC on ESPN Plus. From Sunrise, Florida, Jacare versus Jack Hermanson in the main event. Same night, you got Bellator action in San Jose, California. Rory McDonald, John Fitch, welterweight Grand Prix, welterweight title fight. Co-main event, Vito Ortega looks to dethrone Ilima-Lei McFarlane of that Bellator women's featherweight or flyweight title. You have World Boxing Super Series action Saturday night on DAZN with Kyrie Relic taking on Regis Prograis in a 12-rounder for WBA Junior welterweight title. And then you have boxing on Showtime with Robert Easter Jr. and Rance Betherly, a 12-rounder for the WBA regular lightweight title. Not to mention, Vitor Pistola versus Muhammad Minu is also on that card. Then, if you wanted to stay up late and wait for the clock to strike midnight, you can keep your eye on UFC Fight Pass for Muay Thai action and more Muay Thai action coming up next Tuesday. So a ton going on, whether you're on Fight, whether you're on ESPN Plus, DAZN, or UFC Fight Pass, a ton of combat sports action this week. Not to mention what we have coming up here locally. Locally, we got two events to look forward to. May 10th, it's Jackson Wink Fresquez Fight Night 5. Garcia versus Whitney there. It's the 25th anniversary of Fresquez Production promoting combat sports here in the land of enchantment. Then, up at Buffalo Thunder on June 8th, you have Southwest Mixed Martial Arts Series 28. It's the rebranding of the Jackson's MMA series. Jess Martinez in the main event for the third time up at Buffalo Thunder in front of his hometown Santa Fe crowd. So that's going to be a big one. Legacy Boxing Promotions also broke news yesterday that July 20th, they'll be having an event at Tingley Coliseum. Josh Pitbull Torres will be in the main event for a WBC Silver Latino title. And of course, this week, we do have a guest coming at you guys. He's a mixed martial arts legend, a New Mexico pioneer of the mixed martial arts scene, if you ask me. He's fought in the UFC, Strikeforce, and now active in the bare-knuckle boxing world. Isaac Valley Flag, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me on, Micah. I appreciate it. This is interesting. Fun.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, right?
Yeah. It's fun seeing all the amount of stuff that we have coming up for the MMA and fighting world. It's crazy.
Right, and just everything this week.
Yeah, it's huge, right?
Right, and as a fan, it's hard to figure out what you want to watch, right?
Yeah, I'll probably be watching some bad horror movie. I haven't been watching that much fighting recently, just because the market's so saturated that it's hard to pay attention unless somebody I know is fighting. I generally tend not to watch it as much anymore, you know what I mean?
So with your ties, though, do you feel kind of often that you still find yourself knowing somebody on a card?
Well, yeah, like watching Donald Sanchez from here fight on LFA was cool. Going to some fights, the Lion fight this last weekend, and then I'll be watching Cub fight May 4th, obviously, and stuff like that. So every now and then, yeah, I guess I still end up watching about once or twice a week, or once a week or so, I mean, it's, yeah, it's just getting so saturated. It's hard to kind of pick your heroes anymore, you know.
Definitely. Well, last time we saw you, it was actually saying goodbye to a hero. The last time we saw you locally, Jackson's MMA series, it was kind of your retirement from competition, but you're back and you're in the bare knuckle boxing world. So, what led to a return from competition?
I think the fact that the bare knuckles kind of getting more attention. I was kind of burned out on MMA. I love MMA. That'll always be kind of what I really love to do. But the idea of doing something kind of new with no gloves, bare knuckle boxing is where combat sports started, kind of. Well, with wrestling, but I mean, kind of in the States where it started. And I thought it was a really cool throwback to kind of our roots, and I wanted to try it out. So.
Any side of you when you first got the offer say, I'm not going to do that, that's insane?
Oh, no, I actively, as soon as I saw it starting to get bigger, I started to really pursue it. Joe Stevenson hooked me up with my first bare knuckle gig, and I loved it, I think my wife was a little bit kind of weird about it, but I jumped at the opportunity to fight for both organizations that I fought for.
It's not boxing, it's not fighting, it's something different, right?
Yeah, it's modified boxing rules. Dave Feldman with the BKFC really kind of makes it very clear that it's not boxing and it's not MMA, it's bare knuckle fighting, There's some rules in the clinch that you can take advantage of. It's not elbows or anything like that, but it's boxing to an extent with some dirty boxing. So he really makes it clear that it's a bare knuckle fight and not just bare knuckle boxing.
With the rule set that there is, do you feel that this is more applicable to a boxer or to an MMA fighter having an advantage in that arena, you think, from just kind of the experience stepping into that ring the first time?
I think there's bits and pieces that kind of suit both different kinds of fighters, right? And the first fight that I was on, Mike Alderete fought on the card. He was doing well boxing, and then he got clenched up by Josh Neer and had a really hard time dealing with the clinch. Where, so there's good parts for boxers and really bad parts for boxers. Same thing with MMA fighters, I loved the clinch when I was doing MMA, and I really I started boxing a lot after I quit doing MMA, so I think it's kind of like suited for what I like to do well, and hopefully I kind of am, I guess, more adaptable as far as the hybrid of whatever the sport is, you know what I mean?
And then another guy that you used to train with, we saw him have a brilliant experience there. Leonard Garcia knockout at Julian Lane. That was a title fight. And that one, they both got clipped. You both saw the excitement. So the excitement of the sport, how do you think that's going to help it translate with its growth and popularity?
I think that, especially, with Leonard and Julian, we started to see it, with Artem and Jason, how exciting that fight was with people getting dropped. As much, there's a lot of superficial stuff that happened to both fighters and a lot of back and forth. And I think people really, especially combat sports fans who've kind of been watching for a while, appreciate that stuff. So I think it's Forbes is already calling it the next billion-dollar business. And this card I know was extremely successful for BKFC. So, I think that, as long as people can get past some of their I guess,
kind of trepidation.
Yeah, trepidation with it, because it's an uglier sport than MMA because you get cut up a little bit more. So as long as they can get past that, which I think they will, it'll grow, the same rate that hopefully the UFC did,
I was talking to a member of the Athletic Commission. People already looking, and you see the headlines everywhere. It's so brutal. It's so brutal. Well, you guys realize Muay Thai, which we just had here, MMA, which we have here constantly, the elbows and the knees are never protected. So guys are getting hit with that hard bone of flesh anyway. Now just transitioning to the hands, and the hands are actually more brittle than an elbow, right?
Yeah, and that's the one thing, especially talking to Rich Espinosa at the commission here locally, and he completely understands it and gets it too. I can throw my elbows and knees with reckless abandon. I'm not worried about hurting them. You have to be more precise. You can't throw as much volume with your hands, and you can't be as reckless with your hands. If you take a shot, if you throw a punch and it hits a guy in the top of the head, the likelihood of hurting your hands is a lot greater than an elbow. So I think that once people kind of start to understand that, then it's going to grow a little bit faster. That being said, it still is. There's going to be a lot more facial lacerations and stuff like that. But brain trauma, I think it's less on the brain trauma because you're not taking a pounding with padded gloves repeatedly. I'm excited for it. I mean, I guess I could keep going with all the stuff that makes it safer or less safe, but I'm just excited for it.
Well, I also think one of the things with the sport is right now it looks kind of brutal, and we understand there will be cuts and lacerations, but right now we're at a level where boxing is beautiful. You can look at Muay Thai, it's beautiful, but those are art forms that have been around for centuries, and let's be honest, you guys haven't been bare knuckle boxing for that long, like we haven't been doing MMA for that long. Right. So as time goes on, I think the fights themselves will look like a more refined process than just a brawl.
Yeah, and that was the one thing. If you look at even the UFCs, the first 100 UFCs, they weren't as pretty as they are now. You're seeing some real high-level athletes coming into the UFC and to MMA, and you're seeing kind of a more polished product as far as the fighter, the production, everything. And I think that you're going to see the same thing. The bigger that bare knuckle gets, you're going to see the same kind of thing, more polished, developed kind of athlete. Right now, I mean, BKFC is doing their 5th show, and they're already throwing good shows. They already have higher level athletes doing it, and it's just going to get better and better from here, I think.
Don't want to get into too much of the situation legally, obviously, that happened. I don't know what you're involved with from the first one, the event that kind of blew up in everybody's face. But from a bad experience like that with the organization, with what happened with World Bare Knuckle Fighting Federation, that didn't sour you at all on the sport?
No, I love the sport, and look, when you get into any combat sport, and there's always going to be guys who are kind of hustlers doing cash grabs and who aren't really in it for the sport. The one thing, I was a little bit nervous transitioning from WBKFF to, which is now not around, to Feldman's organization, not necessarily because of anything. They've been extremely professional, great to deal with, but just, my experience, like it's nerve-wracking, wondering if you're going to get paid on the next one. But they are extremely professional in the way they handle things and the bonuses, the pay, everything. Great fight week kind of experience. And guys, my thing too is if guys like Stitch Duran are getting on board and some guys like that, it's really, Stitch has been in this game a long time, and he wouldn't put his name on anything that wasn't a professional event,
Is there that same kind of electricity and excitement here in the infantile stages you feel of bare knuckle boxing that there was when you first got into the mixed martial arts world?
For me, it is. I can only speak to kind of my experience and the people around me, but a lot of people are excited to see it happen. I've had, since my bare knuckle fight, I've had guys come into my gym specifically wanting to do bare knuckle boxing, and my first reaction to that is why the hell would you want to do that? But 20 years into it, I'm kind of stuck doing it. But I shouldn't say that. I'm not stuck doing that. But you're starting to see people actually. It's slim. It's not like everybody who wants to walk into a gym and do MMA, but you are seeing people specifically asking to do bare knuckle boxing or bare knuckle fighting, bare knuckle boxing, whatever. So.
Last week, I believe it did get passed with the help of guys like Mr. Feldman with his rule set, with Isidro Castillo here locally. It did get approved here in New Mexico. When do you believe we're going to see bare knuckle boxing here?
Hopefully the fall and winter time. I don't think it's 100%. The commission's looking for a rule set. I know David is talking to some of the commissioners. Again, Albuquerque, I think Feldman knows that this is a great town for fighting. We have, as far as MMA gyms, we have the best MMA gym in the world here. We have the legacy of Danny Romero and Johnny Tapia. We're a fighting state. This this state appreciates its fighters, and it wants this next thing. So Feldman sees that, and he wants to get it here as soon as possible. On top of we're close to California. We have Netflix studios. There's a lot of benefits, not just in the state, but really in Albuquerque, to having a bigger show like a BKFC in Albuquerque,
And then if you guys real quick caught what Isaac said, he also said his fighters, he has his gym, that's Tier 1 martial arts. Tell everybody real quick a little bit about the gym.
So it's a small gym. We're growing. I have some fighters. We're kind of more of a community-based gym. We do a lot of community outreach, trying to kind of work with people who are at risk in the community. We do have our MMA fighters. We have our soccer moms kind of who do the cardio kickboxing, but my whole thing was, after some of the struggles I went through, is really kind of doing community-based outreach and trying to get people in who might not understand how strong their head is, and kind of show them the benefits of fighting with your mental game, more so than just the physical part of it, So the gym is coming along great. I got some great people involved with it. A guy named Jeffrey Holland. I'm gonna do a shout out real quick to Jeffrey Holland from Endorphin Power Company is part of this. Great, huge guy in the community. Great person, and I got some other people involved who are excited about what we're doing, so they're helping the gym grow.
Awesome. I could talk to him all day. I've probably taken up way too much of the show from Leroy. Isaac, thank you for coming on today. Everybody watching, get out, support local, watch a fight this week, and sit tight because there'll be more Red Menace TV in just a moment.
Thanks for having me.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
At Gala Chevrolet, our master technicians service every make and model no matter where you purchase your vehicle. But that's not all. We also provide certified service on every GM model. So if your car's been acting a little funny lately or something just doesn't seem right, don't wait. Bring it in to the most modern service facility in the entire state and let us make sure that you're driving a vehicle you and your family can depend on. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
pitch to the third base.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlings, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant. Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Hey, welcome back to Red Menace TV here on ProView Networks. Finally, he was able to beat the traffic. Mark Smith of EnchantmentSports.com. How you doing, Mark?
My man.
You finally made it.
I actually started walking in right when I heard your the tones.
The
of
tones?
Leroy Lucero.
Are those dulcet tones? I don't know exactly what the word is. I don't have the pipes that you did. I mean, you are a karaoke legend. Are you still doing that?
You know, it's funny you asked. I started singing again about a month ago.
Okay.
After a hiatus of about 15 years.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm enjoying it again. The vocals aren't where they were when I was young. There are notes I can't hit, but
Sure.
you know, I always a kid about the karaoke stuff,
yeah.
which I like. But you know, I used to do a few weddings and actually a couple of funerals, which was on.
What did you sing at a funeral?
I had the request to do My Way at a couple of different
all
funerals,
right.
and so that's tough.
No Rolling Stones or anything?
No, I'm getting my list together.
Okay. Oh, for your funeral?
Yeah, and the
You're
wife
preparing?
has specific instructions what to play. I don't think I'm going to be able to sing it my own. They're telling
Probably
me.
not. Probably not.
Which is disappointing.
There
Unless
was
I
a
video.
study actually this week that said that when you die, your body
I
knows
saw
that you're
that.
dead.
The science, your brain stays aware of the surroundings. I got an 8-year, my 8-year-old
sure.
son Brock, and we discuss all these things. And so I told him, man, when I go, I don't want you to say anything bad because I'm going to be listening right there. It better not be like, hallelujah, now the money's ours. I don't want to hear that stuff.
Well, see, I did it the right way. I don't have any money for my kids, so don't try to kill me, all right? In fact, you better hope that I stick around as long as possible.
I hate that, being worth more dead than alive.
Right, yeah,
I hate
exactly.
that.
Hey, speaking of this, it's been it was a year ago, roughly around this time that you and I started discussing. This is your post-newspaper career. When you had left the. Are we allowed to name the periodical or?
You can say whatever you want. I don't know what I can say.
Oh, okay.
I've got.
You left the Albuquerque Journal.
I was only there though. I wasn't there long. I was 31 years.
A few decades, but I mean, when people actually read papers, I don't know how many people are still reading those now. But you and I were discussing. You had mentioned that you still wanted to do some stuff, and you didn't know how to do it. And of course, I was still writing. I think, I'd already stopped writing for the Red Menace, but still, the redmenace.com. And we had started talking. I said, "Have you considered a website? Maybe radio."
Yeah, I give
maybe
you credit
television."
for
And you said. You're like, but it's been, I know it's been August, I think.
I think we debuted the end of August, correct.
But we were putting everything in motions around this time of year. How's it going? A year later, I mean, what do you think?
It went a lot better than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Get a lot more pub, a lot more people are talking about it than I anticipated. EnchantmentSports.com. and you're one of my main helpers.
Absolutely, I do my best to.
Staff writer, this guy, and he can write.
A little bit.
I
Yeah.
didn't know.
I've
I only
done it for
knew
a
you
while.
could write
Puff
shots.
pieces?
No, taking shots. At
Well,
me.
yeah, there are those too. I still do that. I mean,
Well,
not at you, but other people.
You
but
can
sure.
act. You're actually a journalist. You've got a good sense of writing skills and knowing what's interesting in a story. Things that I like to work with younger people over the years. You've got that knack. So
There's
I've
a
been
little bit of a
proud you.
lost art, I think, and you've talked about this on radio and stuff. There's a little bit of a lost art. People are afraid to get controversial.
Yeah.
Or at least truthful.
I was going to say, tell the truth.
You know, we've gotten to the point now, and I can write pieces like that because I have puff pieces, or I don't want to say full butt smooching, but can get close.
It's good feature stories about individuals. You want to be able to get them to open up, and you want to write, more positive than negative. This is what was so funny throughout my Lobo beat days was it's so negative, and then you go back and look at the stories, and it's like 99% positive.
Right, yeah.
But
one
when
thing,
you tell the truth about anything, well, then you're going to have advertisers getting mad and boosters and stuff like that. But, there's just, journalism's really, really suffered, as we know.
Sure, yeah.
And if you watch any kind of television news, it's just brutal. You either got to take one side or the other, and man, I don't know what happened to trying to go down the middle with things and look at both sides, but
I think
hard to
what's
find.
interesting in what you're saying, because I've been caught up in this, and I started in radio. It's been 30 years when I started in radio, and then when the website came around, it's almost been 20 years since when I first started writing for the website, and it got to the point. It's like, okay, how do you want to handle this? It was no longer I'm just going to present the facts.
Yeah.
It's like you said, you have to take a side, or you have to almost be an entertainer, other than just presenting the facts. Facts can be boring, but if you spice it up a little bit, if you pepper it a little bit with maybe a little bit of flavor, if you will, all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that guy. And that helps for advertisers and everything else. Whereas you get a journalist that's just going to present facts, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah,
really?
no, I agree completely. I just, the whole political atmosphere has just gotten to where it's ruined journalism.
Well, and it's funny you mention that, because not only, but that political atmosphere has become part of the sports world as well. I mean, people talk about LeBron. Horrible year for LeBron James, his worst year ever, right? They don't get to the playoffs. Everyone talks about, well, he's getting older. If you really look at since LeBron moved to Los Angeles, his focus has been on politics. It hasn't been, as he's been trying to be this woke social warrior, not a basketball player.
And it's annoying too when people look up to someone for their greatness as a basketball player. That's fine, but not for your political opinion. What makes LeBron, was it that college education? Actually, it probably helped him not having a college education in this day and age with the brainwashing. But some of this, and the musicians and the actors and actresses, it's just, like Taylor Swift. I like Taylor Swift's music, but shut up when it comes to not
You're gonna
singing.
say that on a sports show?
I'll say that. My son does.
Okay.
No, I do. I've got, you've seen my vast array of music.
Sure.
3,200 vinyls, 2,000 CDs.
I
get
Sinatra's
everything.
crying today.
Yeah,
You
Frank
talking about
wouldn't
Taylor
be
Swift.
happy to know
Yeah.
all that I have. Fountains of Wayne and the Sex Pistols and everything. But I love everything. But I don't want anybody telling me their opinions just because they're a great musician. I don't care what you think about politics.
Yeah, and, well,
you know?
I mean, and looking at it, one of the great players of our time, Tom Brady, who
he
pretty much keeps
low
a
key,
low level.
yeah.
I mean, everyone knows
Tiger,
but he keeps Tiger's
same
another
thing.
one. Keeps it very low key. In fact, you had an article about Tiger. In fact, let's talk about that since kind of a sports show. How shocked are you after everything that happened to Tiger the past decade that he did come back and win another Masters?
I'll admit it to anybody who asks. I didn't think he'd ever win another PGA tournament, much less a major. I thought he was done, and you hear there's always this reason and that excuse and this and that. Okay, well, I thought he was done. I've always been a Tiger fan, but I didn't think there was any way. And then, he showed those glimpses last year, and man, I'll tell you what, I was trying to figure where I would put that win 2 weeks ago in my favorite sporting events of my life. All sports. Number one is still the 1980 hockey team, U.S. hockey team. Then nothing will. I literally cannot watch a documentary on that without tears rolling down. That was such an incredible couple of weeks. But I was trying to think, and I'm like, man, this is pretty close to what I'm trying to come up with a list of top 5. Right now, that's number 2, man. Yeah. That was so dramatic, that everything behind it. I was very pumped.
It's weird because all of a sudden golf jumps back onto the scene, the Twitter scene. Sports. People are talking sports again.
Yeah.
And Tiger Woods obviously leads that charge. I mean, let's face it. How much has people talked golf in the past couple? And you used to do golf.
I'm a golfer. I love golf. I did the golf page for the paper for more than a decade. I lost a lot of interest in watching tournaments until Tiger got back on the scene.
And now all of a sudden it's mainstream.
I'm pulling this a little bit. Yeah, it was so great for the sport. And the thing, I've got a running debate with a friend about the greatest golfer, and he's a big Nicklaus guy. We won't give Tiger his due about anything. And I think that's still. It's not just the majors won. There's a lot more to it, but there is zero doubt that Tiger from 10, 15 years back was the greatest player. That era, it wasn't even close. No one was even close. But when you talk about looking at everything in a guy's career, it's still up a little bit for grabs, I think, between him and Nicklaus. But the biggest points for Tiger, look at the competition now. Nobody played in those days. In the old days, the Trevino days, the Gary Player days, you had 4 or 5 guys who were capable of winning majors. Nobody had the money to go on the tour back in the old days. So a few guys dominated, guys with their cigarettes hanging out of their mouths and their bellies like ours, these weren't athletes. Right. Tiger has turned it from a gentleman's, rich man's game to an athletic event. You look, these guys are chiseled, man. And the fact that all of these guys he inspired to play are now the ones he's trying to beat, it's such a great story. And here's another. You look at the purses. Compare. Yeah. I was looking up, and I think Nicklaus's top year ever, and he made. I think it was just maybe in the neighborhood of 350,000 or something. If you break that out with inflation to what it would be worth now, it was just around $1 million. $1 million now is one tournament. Tiger won $9 million in 2000. He has brought this into the mainstream.
I think the main thing with Tiger in that debate that you're talking about is Tiger he transcends the sport.
He transcends it.
I mean, he transcends athletics.
Yeah.
There's something about, and the thing is, he's quiet about it. He doesn't make a big stink, like you said. He doesn't get into the political realm, even though we know, you know, he's good friends with the president, who most people wouldn't have the huevos to admit that, but he does. He doesn't, I mean, yeah, he got into his personal issues, the personal dealings.
Karma
and
got
all
him
that stuff.
on that.
But he's now come back, and now he turns into the biggest comeback story. Speaking of comebacks, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk about a semi-local comeback I'm sure Mark would love to talk about right here on Red Menace TV.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of ProView Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you. The Barley Room, proud sponsor of ProView Networks for
Welcome back to Red Menace TV. Comeback, local comeback. We had Tigers come back.
You
that
me?
was big. No, not you.
Okay.
You never left.
I'm back on the set.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So Steve Alford, former Lobo basketball coach here at the Pit.
Real comeback.
The real comeback story, takes the money and heads to UCLA after allegedly signing an extension. We still don't know exactly how that extension did or didn't work out. There was a payoff supposedly, but we don't know. The payoff was, I didn't accept my paycheck, so there's your payoff. We don't know how that all worked. He was taking his Mountain West Conference championship rings in red blazer and going to Los Angeles, and promptly didn't do so well as far as UCLA standards, was fired this year after Richie McKay, who you spoke to. You were all over that story when Richie beat Alford there at Pauley, and then they ended up.
You talking about karma there? How about that?
How about that one?
McKay gets fired here to make room for Alford.
Yes.
And then McKay ends Alford's career
at UCLA.
The only thing that would have been more fitting would have been had they hired McKay at UCLA to replace.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. That would have been great. But he ends up landing softly, as there was obviously a big buyout to fire him from UCLA, which is just a disaster of a job. If I were a coach, I'd stay away from UCLA. I wouldn't even touch that. And then lands softly at the University of Nevada, Reno.
He's at the level he should be at.
Okay.
He showed he could win here, regular season. Never could get it done. But, you know, you look, you're going to run out of Iowa, basically. You know, they gave him one more year or that was it. And he got out before he got thrown out. So he failed in the Big Ten. He failed. How do you consider it failing when he got to 3 Sweet 16? The first 2 years, he had another guy's players and had a couple. Remember, it was a couple miracle plays in the tournament, but that's neither here nor there, really. You can't just get to the Sweet 16.
Well, didn't the guy that he replaced
Ben
actually get to
Howland
the Final Four?
3 times. One time into the national championship game,
Right.
and they fired him. So, you know, that's a fail. Period. He got fired. You have to consider that a fail, right?
Mid-season fired.
Mid-season fired. And the attendance was horrendous while he was there. He never accomplished what they had hoped he'd
You
accomplish.
mean he didn't warm up to the fans?
That's amazing, huh? So
That's
now he's
shocking.
back in the Mountain West. This is, you know, and he'll stay here.
I think he's the highest paid coach in the Mountain West, isn't he? Or pretty darn close.
I would have to imagine. Ever since Lon Kruger took off from Vegas a few years ago, because I know he was at one point. I think he was the only one that was making more than Alford.
I think Craig
at
Neal
the
at one
time.
point was the highest paid as well.
I think he
and
was.
I think
It was
Steve,
almost $1 million.
What's his name? Fisher at UN at San Diego State. I think they gave him like a couple of dollars more to make him the number one.
It's just kind of ironic how everything worked out. But Lobo for life. I read that somewhere? Didn't I?
You did.
I read
so
that somewhere.
It's kind of funny going back to our media thing. I remember I talked to, I was writing for the website then, and the guy from Los Angeles called me, and he says, "How is Alford with the media?" And I laughed, and he's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well," I said, and this is, I said, as long as you're willing to smooch that booty, you're fine. If you write anything factual, truthful, or something that he doesn't agree with, you could be cut off and possibly removed from your position. And
no comment.
You don't have to comment. These are my comments and mine only, and I call it the way I see it. And he said, "Well, that's not going to fly in L.A." I said, "I'm sure it's not." I talked to him a year afterwards, and this was right after they named him, and they brought up the rape allegations in Iowa and all that stuff. And sure, he called me back, and he said, "You're right, man." He goes, "That guy," I'm like, I'm sure he had a very hate relationship with the media down there, as opposed to Albuquerque.
I didn't think for a second his act would fly in L.A. And what's funny, people saw the butting of the heads towards the last couple of seasons there between Alford and myself. But we got along great for the first 3 years. He was rebuilding a program that had really had some issues there, and it was a very, very good relationship. But then, anytime you start writing something that wasn't quite kosher, that he was trying to pull, and he's a coach. They all do things that they want to keep under the table.
Are you saying coaches are sensitive?
No, I'm saying that there's. I'm going to hold back a little bit, but he could manipulate anyone he wanted in this town media-wise.
Sure.
Pretty much anyone he wanted at any level, not just media, but boosters, sponsors, ADs, you name it. So, then it was, well, this guy's trying to write the truth about this and that. Can't have that. I got to have everyone doing it's like CNN with the Democratic Party. You got to toe the company line. And so, what was so disappointing is how guys who I would consider journalists, well, not journalists, but in the profession, not backing the profession and telling, look, man, you can't do this kind of stuff. But it is what it is. He got away with it, and he. It
should be an interesting game when he comes down to the pit.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll get quite.
I'm trying to remember. There's been a few times. Ellenberger came back. I think he was
assistant with
He
UTEP.
came with UTEP. Well, he came as a head coach one time. I think Bear was sick or something.
Right.
So he did do that. There's no other time that I can recall. Oh, Bliss came back for an NIT game one time
Baylor,
with Priscilla.
and I don't remember that really being.
There was a boo, cheer sort of thing.
See, the thing with this is a situation that Lobos have never had, where a coach left them after promising to be there forever.
Yeah.
He had success, didn't have it in the tournament, obviously, which is the big thing for any program, right?
So I was thinking about this. There's certain fans that are thrilled with the Mountain West Conference regular title and maybe a Mountain West Conference tournament. Yay! There's other fans that are not so happy with that. They want to see, they're going to remember Alford for Harvard.
You're right. And I think they should.
I think you're as good as your last game, and I think the fact that he was basically smashed the entire time and had no clue. All I remember, I don't even know the kid's name. All I know, he had floppy socks and he was bearing three-pointers, and Alford had no idea. It's like he was trying to have.
You're not talking about
Bearstill.
Kevin Heenan with Cal State Ford.
Yeah, well, okay, you have even those memories. So, So anyway, Mark, unfortunately we could talk forever, but we're coming to the end of the show, so we're going to have you back in here again
Yeah,
to
I'd
talk.
enjoy that.
We've got all kinds of stuff, Lobo Football. Once again, enchantmentsports.com. Check it out. We'll start having some regular stuff and promoting some of that here on Red Menace TV, as I enjoy riding there. I enjoy hanging out with Mark, and I was one of those guys that kind of got pushed out like Mark. My comments once again. So until next week,
I'm enjoying my life.
For Mark Smith, for Alden, and Micah, is Leroy Lucero. We'll see you next week. God bless you all.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Dream Style Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico